Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back, welcome back. I hope you're all doing very, very well. It's nice to see you guys again. Welcome in, copyright. Look who it is, isn't it the hee-hee man? I'm not a hee-hee man. That makes me think of Michael Oh yeah, because during my singing stream a little while ago, I went hee hee. It was a little bit higher than that, but my voice is not warmed up, so I will not try that. I was I must look so silly when I'm around people and I'm working because I just have my headphones in and I'm literally just always dancing to music. I do apologize about the ads. I typically run them at the beginning of every stream because I believe that's the easiest way for everyone else, or that's the easiest way for me. Because and then I should turn them off after the first 3 minutes of ads at the start of the stream, but I often forget. I often forget to do so, and it's not uncommon for me to see ads have begun, and I'm like, oh no, I'm sad. But there's an aspect of making sure that, or sorry, of ooh, I don't even have a category. How will people even find me? There we go. Hello, welcome in, copyright. I do apologize again for those ads. It's easier. I prefer if I'm doing things like reading. You essentially have no interruptions. Like I do the 3 minutes of ads at the beginning to allow a an hour of pre-rolls of no pre-rolls, and then I turn off the ads so that it doesn't get interrupted. But I make sure I try and remember to do that. What I did today. And welcome in as well, Son Albionus. I'm a modern day Diogenes. I still haven't enabled affiliate. I know. I to be quite honest, like for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks after I enabled affiliate, I got quite sad. I got quite disappointed that I got a little bit disappointed about that I had to run ads, and I kind of tried different ways, but I kind of settled on the way I do it, and I enjoy the way I do it. I think it works well. I got some new skebs in actually. I got a lot of skebs. Let me pull up the one that I got recently that I really like. That I really like. Here we go. Do I show the full? Okay. I do this. Okay, good. I can. If this mouth opened, this could just be a new PNG. Couldn't it? It could literally just be a new PNG. My waist is a bit wide in it though. I am tired. Well, I hope you managed to relax, copyright. I will show a little bit more. Hang on. There we go. Wait, no, a little bit more. Perfect. No, I'll do it like that. That's just the floor that I'm standing on, but I'll do it like this just to keep the color. There are bare feet under this, and unfortunately, someone has already acted as if they took a photo of my feet and sold the images for their money. I didn't even get any gain out of such an action. How terrible of them. But yeah, I'm really happy with this art. The face on it is so nice as well. I love that different artists do like slightly different hair colors for me. It's like either like dark red, kind of like a copper, and then you have like auburn, then you have slightly kind of brighter red. I have one thing I don't like with your character. You shoot, go ahead. I assume it's probably, what is it? Lack of clothing. Overall. cute long skirt Rui. Yeah, yeah. This is me with like a new tunic. Do you see how clean it is? Can you get some pants? No, no, I actually cannot. I refuse to wear pants. Some people wore trousers in Ireland around my time, but I refuse to. I like being free. They are oppressive, exactly, exactly, son. But like because of how smooth it is, it looks like it's a brand new Lena. It's brand new. It looks like it was freshly taken out, or like like I just ironed it. So I'm like posing and showing it off. I'm like, look how good my new Lena looks. But it's a little bit longer. Pretend he's got sheer stocking. You could do that. You could certainly do that. If it makes it easier for you, just imagine I have stockings on it. That sounds like a good idea. D. Fantastic idea. No, you know what? No, no. You guys don't deserve that. Because for some reason people like those. Especially you, son. I know you're a fan of those. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna... God. I'm sorry, son. I have to call you out. I saw your emote reaction to that image on Discord. And welcome in Kankaro, my favorite lonely puppet man VTuber, for push-ups. He's redeemed some push-ups. Okay, so last time I did the push-ups, apparently it sounded like I was really far away. So I'm going to try and have the microphone a little bit closer, but I don't know how to do it because I have to take it out. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Let me just try and figure this out, what the best positioning for the microphone is to do push-ups. I still haven't given a number. How many push-ups do you guys think 1,000 points are worth? I feel like 10 is the correct amount, like 1 push-up per 100 points. But like 10 push-ups is not hard. Or at least not that hard for me. I know people have different abilities. 150, I refuse. No, absolutely. I started reading Diogenes Laertius's book, and it's so heavy I'm going to die. Oh no. I recognize the name. Is Diogenes Laertius. Was he someone who wrote about... Yeah, that's what it is. 15. 15 is a fair amount, I think. It's a decent... Lived sometimes in the 1 to 200,000s. Reading is the workout for the brain and body. Exactly, yeah. You have to make sure that you are both capable physically and mentally. And I was doing some mental reading last night. Reading about transcendence and analogica intus, or the analogy of being. Some very fun stuff, but let me go do the push-ups. 15 seems good. I'll just, you know what, I might just do. Wait, hang on, someone followed. I have to move the art. Welcome in, Sarah Fontanes. What? What are you talking about, son? What? What you talking about? I'm surprised the mods didn't pick that up. Analogica ain'tis is what I said. But I'm gonna do some quick push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. My headphones are falling off. 29, 30. No, my headphones fell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move my headphones are in the way. 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. Okay. 40 seems pretty good. Excuse me. Oh. Thank you, copyright.
Oh, good. The background audio reminds me of the start of that one song from Ratchet and Clank. I didn't play much Ratchet and Clank. I played one. Not Ratchet and Clank 1. Like, I played one. I feel like I started on a ship, like an airship or something. I don't know. I'll have to listen back to it. Ratchet and Clank 2. Ah, okay. I didn't know you were a Ratchet and Clank fan. I recently watched like a speed run about some of the games. Very cool. Hang on. Let me open a window. I'm slightly out of breath because I went quite quick with those. My headphones fell off in the middle of it, around I think like 20 or something, and they were in the way, so I couldn't like touch my nose off the floor properly. I kept trying to, and then hitting my face off of the cushioning on my headphones. I remember enjoying that game quite a good bit, but I lost it, unfortunately. I got thrown out at some point. Huh. Now I just need people to redeem that like 5 times and I'll have a good chest workout done. I'm taking a small break from the gym actually today, so it would have been chest day, so that would have killed me Kankaro. I'm actually lucky about that. My neck is still a little sore, so taking it easy. Going from like completely resting to blasting out push-ups. It's tiring. Can you start reading soon? I will be reading soon, actually. Let me just take a sip of water. Wish pull-ups were easier to do at home, but those door frame pull-up bars are terrible. You'd have to go outside to the local park. We'll go outside to the local park then. I'm lucky I have a metal bar outside home that's it's locked in place. So I'm able to just go out there pretty easily and jump up and do a few. I can do 1,000 now. No, Jesus, 1,000 pull-ups. That would be quite the impressive ability. Wait, how many is that? That's 10 million? What about 1 million? But I think we will get into the reading today. What were we looking at? Let me pull it up. We were reading about Phillip II of Macedon, greater than Alexander. Yeah, 40 push-ups is definitely way too cheap. Or no, 1,000 points for 40 push-ups is definitely too cheap. That's not happening again. Ah, yes. So we were reading about the Sacred War that occurred between Phocas and Thessaly. Or sorry, no, it was between Phocas and Thebes. Essentially, the 10 kind of tribes that made up the the Amphictyonic League that kind of held the Delphic Oracle, or the Oracle at Delphi, and kind of protected some of the land and made decisions in relation to that area. Phocas and Thebes sort of were coming out heads, and Thebes attempting to levy a large fine onto Phocas did exactly that, using their influence. Phocas rejected this, and when a further fine got placed on them, they proceeded to raid they proceeded to raid the treasury at Delphi, which, for a place that is so religious at that time, that is quite the thing to do. Now, where Philip gets brought into this is Thessaly was having a bit of internal disputes between a couple of different groups, and I'll take off that image I have. Pull up Thessaly. Essentially, what you had is you had the tyrants of Pherae against, and their kind of supporters, and all the cities under them, against Larissa and a couple of other cities, mainly held by Larissa. Now, Philip was supporting Larissa, but Pherae decided to throw their lot in with Focus in the Sacred War. And this raised the threat of, I believe, was it... who was it again? Focus and someone else, but I can't remember who the third person were. That they would raid into and attack Larissa and those areas. And Larissa, being a friend of Macedonia, of Philip II, who had begun to take an interest, a deep interest in Thessaly, playing both parties against each other, but ultimately coming down on the side of Larissa, was called in, and in this way he is finally brought into the wider Greek political conflicts of the area, into the Sacred War. At the very end of the last chapter, the Phocians elected a general to replace Philomelos. And this man's name was Olomarchus, and he forced the Locrians out of the war with a series of sharp battles, marched into Boeotia and besieged Chaeronea, really putting pressure on the side of Thebes and Macedon and Larissa, who had initially been heavily hurt and very much weakened by a very strong war by Thebes against Focus. But they didn't pursue after their victory. They won the battle and left it at that, and allowed Focus to be able to recuperate and go back on the offensive. This subchapter is titled Ambush and Defeat. Lycophron, the tyrant of Pherae, responded to Philip's threat by asking his Phocian allies for help. Onomarchus sent Phalos north with 7,000 troops to intercept and stop Philip, only to meet with a crushing defeat. The significance of Philip's threat to the Phocian-Pherae alliance was evident in Onomarchus's reaction to his brother's death. He immediately broke off operations in Boeotia, turned his army northward, and marched into Thessaly, where he linked up with Pherae's troops and waited for Philip to do battle. Diodorus tells us that when Philip and the Thessalians ranged themselves against the Phocians, Onomarchus, who was superior in numbers, defeated him in 2 battles and destroyed many Macedonians. Onomarchus inflicted the only battlefield of defeats that Philip ever suffered. So let's see how that happened. I mean, to be the only person who has defeated Philip of Macedon, that's quite an impressive feat. The only account of these events comes to us from Polyaenus, who describes just one of the 2 battles Diodorus mentioned. In deploying against the Macedonians with a crescent-shaped mountain at his back, Onomarchus concealed on the summits of each side infantry and stone-throwing artillery, and advanced his force into the plain beneath. When the approaching Macedonians began to skirmish, the Phocians pretended to flee into the central area of the mountains. The Macedonians, pursuing with zestful vigor, pressed them, but those shooting stones from the summits began to crush the Macedonian battle line. At the very moment Onomarchus signalled for the Phocians to turn and engage the enemy. While some were shooting from behind, others from the front, the Macedonians were being crushed by the stones and retreated. There is an illustration here that I should have taken a photo of and uploaded. I will do that now for you guys to be able to understand what exactly is being described. Okay. Come on, don't. Perfect. So if you guys will give me 2 seconds, I really should. Next time I'm going to go and make sure I cover every single photo in a book, if there is any. Some books don't have photos, and those can be kind of disappointing when they're talking about battles and stuff. Although sometimes they'll have like photos of just like artwork or like periods from that time, like stones and pottery and stuff, and it can be quite nice to just watch and or just look at the art and armor and artifacts that they have. So if you guys will give me just 2 minutes, I will have it. There we go. Don't close down everything, and here we go. Oh, wait, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I accidentally uploaded the image onto Firefox rather than OBS. And there we go. I don't know if I like that you make me tired or not. Oh, well, I hope it ends up being that you do find out that you like me making you tired. So what we have here is, you see the Macedonian army. Hang on, let me get up my point. The point's important. The Macedonian infantry and cavalry, they're pushing, they turn and flee. And at a certain point they turn back around and engage as they're beginning to attack them from the flanks. And I assume they move around like this. We love formations. We really do. Surprisingly, like I think the thing with this is that it's very difficult to pull off if the Macedonians are hot on your heels. Like if they're just a couple of, it needs to be well maintained. You have to be fleeing but kind of keeping in formation at the same time. And if they're rushing, which is probably where these guys come in, they immediately slow them down as they kind of go, okay, what's happening here? And if this is an accurate enough kind of idea of where the tree lines are, suddenly you see that by retreating here, you've effectively cut off the cavalry's ability to really get in behind them. So, very well done, and Philip seems to have got himself in a spot of bother. Onomarchus had set the trap for Philip beforehand. Onomarchus had the stone-throwing catapults, or traction machines, with him behind, because he had marched directly from besieging Cheroneae to the battlefield in Thessaly. Armies travelling with siege machinery do not carry their stone shot with them. Onomarchus needed time to assemble his catapults, to conceal their firing positions, and find enough stones and haul them up the ridge where the catapults had been hidden. The ambush, therefore, must have been planned well in advance. The most likely location of the ambush was in the foothills of the mountains, some 16 miles south of Pherae. Onomarchus had moved north along the coastal road, and the mountains to his left were the last significant high ground before he had to cross the wide plain between there and Pherae. So I might just drop this down again. So we have Pherae up here. And the most likely... Oh, sorry, I read this. Crossing the open plain risked attack by Macedonian cavalry and being caught in the column of march. We have no information as to how many cavalry Onomarchus had with him, but he certainly knew that Philip's cavalry would be likely strongly reinforced by the Thessalian League, which was famous for its ability to deploy large cavalry contingents. It is likely then that Onomarchus chose the foothills of the nearby mountains as his ambush site, and lured Philip into the trap. But how was Philip drawn to the ambush site in the first place? Once again, we can only speculate. First, Philip's army had a large cavalry contingent provided by his Thessalian allies. Cavalry is best used on a terrain similar to the open plains between Pherae and Phocis. Philip probably intended to intercept Onomarchus's route of march on the open ground, and was already moving south when he was enticed into the ambush. Catapults with freshly sourced local stones, yeah.
Eco-friendly catapults. Renewable catapults. They'll use, when they batter down your stone walls, they'll use the stone from those walls to continue battering down the rest of it. I'm probably going to fall asleep. No worries, copyright. If you're continuing to listen to me on your phone, make sure you have your phone on something like some wood or something that's not easily heated up, such as cloth or under your pillow or anything like that. Make sure you stay safe. Where were we? Oh yes. The answer may lie in Diodorus' claim that Philip suffered 2 defeats. Oh, but what drew him to the mountains? The answer may lie in Diodorus' claim. Oh, we have someone in. Welcome in, I'm gonna have to look that up. Hang on. Grinberyun. Grinberyun. That's quite a cool name. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Suffered 2 defeats at the hands of the Phocians. Once Onomarchus set the ambush, he may have sent his cavalrymen forward on reconnaissance to locate Philip's army, skirmish with it, and draw it after them as they retreated towards the mountains. Polyaenus' use of the phrase approaching Macedonians suggests that Philip's army was still in marching column when the first skirmish began. Polyaenus also used the term battle line instead of phalanx, implying that the Macedonians may have been attacked while still in the column of march. It may be that Diodorus, drawing on an earlier source, counted the first skirmish as a separate battle, and called it a defeat for Philip. If there were really 2 separate defeats for Philip so close together, it is curious that no ancient historian has recorded the other one. Hello, Grimber, No, it's Grinber. I like that, Grinber. Well, welcome in, Yun. Thank you for the first time chat. I hope you enjoy a little bit of reading. We're learning about Philip of Macedon, the father of Alexander the Great. Onomarchus' ambush showed he was a brilliant tactician, and his use of catapult artillery against enemy troops in the field appears to be the first tactical use of field artillery in Western military history. Traction catapults were commonly used against defenders when besieging a city. Catapult fire was designed to make it difficult for the defenders to fire on the miners and sappers who were bringing the rams, towers, and tunnels ever closer to the city's walls. Onomarchus' use of catapult fire against troops in the open, however, represents a truly brilliant military innovation. It is the first evidence of artillery as an effective combat arm, earning Onomarchus the distinction of being the father of field artillery. The ambush shows that Onomarchus understood the different tactical dynamics and capabilities of hoplite infantry and Macedonian infantry. Although Greek hoplite infantry usually fought in phalanx formation, it is often overlooked that they were quite capable of effective individual combat, which they frequently demonstrated when engaged in individual combat with adversaries before the main battle. Because of his unwieldy sarissa and his lack of body armor and individual combat training, the Macedonian phalangite had a much more limited ability to fight effectively outside the phalanx. Polyaenus emphasizes this vulnerability when he says, "But when the phalanx is dissolved and its strength becomes a matter of individuals, each of the combatants perish." The key to Onomarchus' successful ambush was finding a way that his hoplite infantry could engage the Macedonian infantry out of its compact phalanx formation. Onomarchus also needed to neutralize Philip's cavalry. Thessalian cavalry had a reputation as excellent fighters. Onomarchus surely knew that Philip had Thessalian cavalry contingents with his army, even if he knew little about the close combat capabilities of Philip's own cavalry squadrons. By now, the Macedonian army could put 20,000 infantry and 600 cavalry in the field, and it is likely that Philip may have had another 1,000 Thessalian horses with him. Arranged for battle, Philip's infantry took over 2 kilometers of frontage, and his 1,600 cavalry another 500 meters, or some 2.5 kilometers for the entire army. It is curious, then, that there is no mention of cavalry in the ambush, suggesting that Onomarchus had neutralized Philip's cavalry advantage, perhaps by deploying his infantry across the front of a semicircle. of open ground between two hills whose distance across were sufficient only to accommodate Philip's infantry. This tactic would have taken Philip and Onomarcus's cavalry out of the fight, because there was simply no room for either to deploy or maneuver. In choosing this terrain and depriving Philip of the use of his cavalry, Onomarcus forced Philip into an infantry battle and rendered the Macedonian combat arm of decision useless. Onomarcus took a position on level open ground that ran between the two horns of a semicircle of hills that probably had no rear exit. Choosing a site without an exit served two functions. With no place to run, Onomarcus could expect his mercenary hoplites to fight fiercely to the end if need be. Second, seeing no exit might have enticed Philip into the fight by letting him think that he could trap the hoplites against the hill and slaughter them. The battle opened as the Macedonian infantry advanced slowly against the Phocian line and began to skirmish with it. After putting up some resistance, the Phocians began to give ground at first slowly and then, turning completely around, fled to the rear. The Macedonians continued their disciplined advance deeper into the cul-de-sac between the hills. At some point, Polyaenus says, the Macedonians began pursuing with zestful vigor, while still maintaining their phalanx formation. Welcome in, Lancelot. Welcome in. Once deep inside the cul-de-sac, the phalanx came under heavy shelling from the catapults located on the hills in front of the sides of the battlefield. The packed Macedonian phalanx offered the Phocian artillery a target-rich environment, and a large number of phalangites must have been struck and injured or killed by the 1 to 2 pound stones the catapults fired over a range of more than 200 yards. That's about 200 meters. As the artillery pummeled the Macedonians, the hoplites stopped their retreat, reformed their units and counterattacked, at which point one assumes the catapults stopped firing on the Macedonians. The impact on the shelling had already loosened the cohesion of the Macedonian phalanx, and had shattered under the Phocian infantry assault. The fight resolved itself into a swirling battle of individual combatants, precisely the kind of fight of which the hoplite excelled, and had the advantage against the Macedonian phalangite. Without body armor and encumbered by the long spear, the Macedonian infantry was unable to meet the attack effectively. Only Philip's cavalry, stationed behind his infantry, prevented a complete slaughter. By acting as a covering force for his infantry as it fled to the rear, his cavalry foiled an effective pursuit by Onomarcus's cavalry. This fight was no minor engagement, and the Macedonians suffered heavily. Diodorus describes the situation following the ambush. Philip was now in the midst of the greatest of dangers and deserted by his despondent troops, but he encouraged a majority of them and with difficulty rendered them obedient. The disciplined Macedonian army came apart, and all Philip could do was stop the panic, gather his troops, and withdraw to safety. It is an axiom of strategic thinking to never to permit an operational success to drive changes in the overall strategic plan. This premise, this premise, of course, presupposes that there is an overall strategic plan in the first place. And here Onomarcus failed to turn his brilliant tactical victory into a significant strategic one. Philip's army was broken and in full retreat. Onomarcus could have gathered his army, set it on the march, thrown his cavalry forward and chased Philip out of Thessaly and all the way back to Macedonia, picking off the stragglers and forcing Philip to conduct a fighting retreat and suffer the attendant losses. This option would have denied Philip the respite he needed to reconstitute his force. Moreover, Onomarcus could have used his army to break the back of the Thessalian League, or at least its most powerful members, thus ensuring Pherae a stronger position in Thessaly. Instead, Onomarcus turned around and marched back to Boeotia to resume his sieges and operations there, defeating the Boeotians in another battle, and capturing the city of Coronae. Allowing Philip to escape was a serious strategic error, one that Onomarcus would regret. Philip understood how fortunate he was to have escaped with his army to fight another day. In thinking about Onomarcus's ambush, Philip is supposed to have remarked, "I didn't run away, but like a ram I pulled back to butt again." Philip never fell into another ambush. The Battle of Crocus Field. Events on the battlefield often have important political consequences, and it was certainly the case when news of Philip's defeat arrived in Greece. The Athenians made much of it and sought to gain an advantage. They pressed Cersobletes, the king of eastern Thrace, to renounce his recent allegiance with Philip and renew his former agreement with Athens, guaranteeing Athenian access to the Chersonese. The Chersonese was an important choke point on the approaches of the Sea of Marmara through the Hellespont, from where it could threaten Athenian grain shipments. Where it could threaten Athenian grain shipments from the Black Sea. Cersobletes reckoned that Philip's defeat might open opportunities for his own interests in Thrace, and renewed his alliance with Athens. Cersobletes handed the cities of the Chersonese, apart from Cardia, over to the Athenians, and the people, Athenians, sent out settlers to the cities. Cersobletes still remained technically allied with Philip, but the new arrangement clearly threatened Philip's interests in Thrace. Olynthus also weakened Macedonian influence by seeking an alliance with Athens. Olynthus's perfidy was of much greater concern to Philip. As noted earlier, Olynthus was of strategic importance to Philip because of its location and military might. And remember, I believe, thank you for the hydrate redeem. Copyright. Olynthus itself could raise an army of about, I think it was 10,000 or 15,000 men. And that's not even considering the various other cities that were kind of alongside Olynthus on the Chalcidian League. To give us just a quick refresher, I will... Hold on. Thank you so much, Kawaii, for the 4 months. Aw, so sweet. Yo, anniversary? I know. It's... Thank you, Kawaii. That's so nice. It's nice to get a little bit of support. I wonder, can I get my first, like, payment from Twitch soon? I'm probably close. Good morning, Kawaii. It's currently 11 p.m. here. So it's, well, 10 past. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Very happy with that recent skev I got. That I don't know if you saw, but it was really, really good. I will show again. I'm really happy with this. Just showing off my, like, right. I was about to say, like, showing off it. Am I going insane, or is it kind of like, obviously it doesn't have anywhere near the, this is a fairly basic Lena, but, you know, I was about to say kimono. If you put a little designs on it and had an extra strap or two, but I think with kimonos there's very, very particular things that, that is a kimono. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. I'm nice and relaxed. I'm just looking for a particular... Here we are, that's the one I wanted. I need to name my... Oh, right now, they're just numbers. They're just numbers.jpg. So we're looking at Eastern Thrace over here. Eastern, so this part. And they're threatening... They've joined Athens after Philip has suffered a loss against Marcus, all the way down from Phocis. Wait, where's Phocis again? There's Foray. There's Thebes. No, Thebes is over here. Phocis is somewhere in this region, I'm quite sure. I might be completely wrong. And then Olynthus here is now also going to Athens and trying to form some kind of friendship. And the Chalcidian League, this region here, the Chalcidian Peninsula, is very close to Macedonian land, the mainland, the capital. But I hope your day goes well, Kwai. We're almost there, aren't we? We're almost at the end of the week. Well, no, sorry, not the end of the week. The halfway point of the week. No, today was Wednesday. Yeah, so yeah, we're almost there. We're getting there.
Quai. Qua. Quebec. Quai is now a Quebecois. I think that's how you pronounce that, Quebecois. That's a nice sound. Why, did I see something actually that, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. That you got a new job offer and you got VGen. My god. Why, you're gonna be rolling in money soon. I had the best of week. So many good news. That's great to hear. That's really good to hear. I'll have to look at your VGen and maybe commission you for something. But congrats on the job. I hope it turns out. I hope the team and stuff are really sweet and cool as well. Because that's even if you have a really busy job, at times, I find if the team is nice, you guys can complain about it together and get through it. But I'm sure they're lucky to be getting you, Kawhi. Yeah, show a little support. But I will return to the reading for the moment. I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on, I have to mute. I didn't mute. I saw the green line go up. I saw a green line go up, and it wasn't a good green line going up for stocks. Thank you, Koi. It's a Germany-based company, so you're a bit nervous. Oh no, why? They're Germans. They're... Quite remember, German humor is no laughing matter. Remember that. It's very important. What was that sneeze? I think I kind of tried to suppress it. I didn't sneeze very loud. Tried to suppress it. I love saying that the German humor is no laughing matter. That always gets me. It's always so funny. But they're likely to be quite blunt. I've found from talking with Germans, like very straightforward people. So I'm sure you'll do. I'm sure you'll do very well, Kawhi. Where were we? After Philip's capture of Amphipolis, the two powers had signed a treaty of alliance, which Philip regarded as their solemn guarantee against Athenian influence in the Thermaic Gulf. Philip attached such importance to this treaty that he insisted that the treaty oaths be sworn at Delphi and that the treaty documents be deposited there. In Philip's eyes, both parties were bound by a sacred oath. When Olinthos opened negotiations with Athens, Philip saw it as a betrayal. A treaty between Olinthos and Athens would threaten Macedonian interests in Thrace, and at the head of the Thermaic Gulf, and even in the coastal cities of Macedonia itself. Philip's defeat had cost him dearly in military and political terms, and he moved quickly to reverse the situation. He spent the winter rebuilding the Macedonian army, replenishing it with men drawn from the militia units, restoring its equipment, and rebuilding its morale. Reversing the political situation, however, would require more time. Philip's most immediate concern was to restore his military reputation and regain his position in Thessaly. Fortunately, Anomarchus had failed to remain in Thessaly or significantly increase Pherae's troops there, so the military balance in the country remained about what it was before the ambush. Philip still had the opportunity to recover his position with the help of the Thessalian League. In the spring of 352 BC, Philip and the Macedonian army marched into Thessaly and made straight for the city of Pherae. Philip took Pherae, its tyrant, Lycophron, and his 2,000 defenders under siege. Lycophron immediately appealed to his Phocian allies for help. It would have taken at least 4 days for a messenger to reach Boeotia, where Anomarchus and his army were besieging its towns. Anomarchus would have required several more days to reach his army, to ready his army for the march north, and another week or so to cover the 100 miles from Boeotia to the Crocus Plains in Thessaly. The Crocus Plains being just a little bit south of Pherae, right down here.
Philip used this time to strengthen his army and bring the cavalry units of the Thessalian League under his command. Diodorus tells us, Philip, having persuaded the Thessalians to prosecute the war in common, gathered them all together, numbering more than 20,000 foot and 3,000 horse. The number Diodorus recorded for Philip's infantry was normal for the Macedonian army, companion cavalry numbered about 600. Thus we might reasonably conclude that Philip's allies provided him with an additional 2,500 cavalry. Onomarchus's army marched north from Boeotia, through the Thermopylae Pass and entered Thessaly along the coastal road before venturing upon the plain between the border and Foray. Thermopylae being right down south here, where the Battle of Thermopylae took place. I believe if you visit Thermopylae these days, the coast, the sea, is way further out from where it used to be. Long ago, it was much, much closer, and it made much more sense why it would be a sticking point for anyone attempting to invade, such as when the Persians did so. His army was made up of 20,000 infantry, mostly hoplite mercenaries, and 500 cavalry. I'd also like to remind us that the Phocians are primarily paying mercenaries out of the treasury at Delphi, and gifts given out of religious significance. Off the coast and moving along a parallel course was an Athenian fleet under the command of Chares. I doubt it's Chares. Just some random Latino fella. Just a fella from Central America, just hanging around. He's like, I'll lead an Athenian fleet for a while. Chares, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that name. And Diodorus tells us that he was by chance sailing past with many triremes. It is inconceivable that the Athenian fleet just happened to be in the area. Athens was a Phocian ally, and it is more reasonable that Athens had sent troops to support Onomarchus. The ships might have staged from an Athenian naval base at Neapolis in the northern Aegean. The normal complement of Athenian ships at Neapolis was 20 triremes, but 20 trireme ships hardly counts as the many triremes Diodorus mentioned. Each trireme could transport 100 soldiers. If there were only 20 ships, the Athenian naval infantry contingent accounted to 2,000 additional troops, although the possibility that the number of ships were greater and their troop numbers greater cannot be excluded. The Athenians probably intended to land their troops in support of Onomarchus once the rival commanders had chosen a battlefield. That is probably why Onomarchus remained close to the coast once he entered Thessaly. Using the naval infantry to support the Phocian army relied on two assumptions. Some suitable landing place could be found near the battlefield, and there would be sufficient time for the battle to allow the troops to disembark and assemble at the battle site. If either of these assumptions proved to be false, the Athenian fleet and its naval infantry would be of no use to Onomarchus. Philip had stumbled into Onomarchus's ambush because he neglected the use of his cavalry and conduct a thorough reconnaissance of the area of operations. As a result, Philip had no idea where Onomarchus was before his vanguard stumbled upon him. Philip did not make this mistake at the Crocus field. Philip's reconnaissance assets picked up Onomarchus as soon as he entered Thessaly. Philip was aware of Onomarchus's progress and position at any given time. Moreover, he had a spy plane. My God. Moreover, Philip's reconnaissance discovered the relative strength and composition of the Phocian force. He got a three kill streak in his most recent game of COD. Philip's reconnaissance discovered the relative strength and composition of the Phocian force, so Philip knew he held a great advantage in cavalry. This information allowed Philip to choose the battlefield and surprise Onomarchus. Philip planned to fight where his cavalry had sufficient room to maneuver, and where he could take Onomarchus by surprise. Philip's army was still besieging Foray when Onomarchus entered Thessaly and began his march north along the coastal road. He encamped somewhere near a place that came to be called the Crocus Field by later historians. The name is taken from Strabo's account, in which the Greek historian says that crocuses grew in abundance there. The battlefield's exact location is unknown, but it was probably close to where the international airport of central Greece is currently located, or some 8 miles south of Pherae. Hello, Dananos. Welcome in, welcome in. Amazing stream, bravo, I know, I know. It takes a lot of skill, and a lot of perseverance, and sacrifice to read a book. But glory to Philip. He is I quite like him. I definitely prefer him over Alexander. Thank you very much for the follow as well. I hope you enjoy. Although I do love Alexander too. Where were we? There was a good reason why Pagasae was the only usable port on the Thessalian coast. The entire coastline is rocky and cliff-ridden, with few shallow beaches upon which ancient ships could land. The underwater terrain drops off quickly a few feet from shore, offering no gradual slope, and shallow water for ships to beach themselves. Xerxes' ships had come to grief on these rocky shores when he attempted to invade Greece in 480 BC. Without a suitable beach for them to put in for the night, the Athenian triremes remained at sea the evening before the battle with Philip. Pagasae, the port, is just over here, so you can see at least the book is saying, I have no idea, I've never been to these coasts, that for the most part, it's very rocky all along here. I'm sure there's probably little things up here, but if you're trying to get down to here, there's no point sailing all the way up here, disembarking here and trying to get down there in time. So they likely would have been trying to get in here. So that's not that far of a distance to march. I wonder, did something happen? As night fell, Philip assembled his army under the cover of darkness for the 8-mile march to Crocus Field. He left behind his engineers and some small troops, probably Thessalian infantry and some supporting cavalry, to continue the siege and keep Pherae's garrison contained in the city, where it could not threaten Philip's lines of communication. It was the Macedonian army's first combat action, since it had been badly mauled by the Phocians the year before. Philip may have been concerned that the defeat had eroded his men's confidence. To stiffen his troops' morale, Philip probably delivered one of his famous orations on courage. In addition, quote, Philip, as if he was the avenger not of the Thebans but of sacrilege, ordered all his soldiers to wear crowns of laurel, and he proceeded to battle, under the leadership, as it were, of the gods. The Amphictyonic Council, in whose name Philip now fought, had declared the Phocians temple defilers, and the laurel wreath was a symbol of the god Apollo. Delphi was a spiritual center of the Greek world, and Philip cast himself as a defender of the Greek religion. He called his troops the saviors of Apollo. It would have taken Philip only a few hours to reach the Crocus Field, where he took up positions across Onomarchus's line of march at some short distance, perhaps a mile or so, from the Phocian camp. The army assembled. No fires were permitted, so rations were eaten cold. The troops slept on the ground, already assembled in their unit phalanxes. Ooh, there's another photo. How did two people, a family of a father and son, take a freaking village and render it the ruler of the Balkans, Greece, and all of the countries up until the Indian province of Punjab? Two crazy motherfuckers, in a good way. Absolutely. It is truly incredible. And one of the things that I love about it is you can see... There's like this thing that... Obviously you have the invasion by Xerxes, and the invasion of Greece, which kind of allied Greece and had this kind of big unification. They fight it off, and that kind of leaves Sparta and Athens, particularly Athens, in a very strong position. And they start to expand their empire, and essentially start to take over large portions. Leagues start to form. Sparta and the Lacedaemonians, they go to war with Athens to kind of try to stem the tide and start to build their own little empire. They start doing battle, and basically, after a while, Thebes becomes huge, and they're fighting for decades, decades. The Peloponnesian Wars being well, I think about 3 decades. And then even further, you still have the Sacred War happening here with Phocas and Thessaly. Ultimately, they've just completely decimated themselves, and it's opened the way for Philip, who came from such a dangerous position. We read earlier, Dananos, I'm sure you, or Danaeus, you might know yourself, that Philip at the time when he took over as regent for his nephew, Macedon was not in a good position. Macedonia was surrounded on all sides, being pushed in. They recently lost their army, and it's only because of Philip's innovations, eye for talent, political ability, military ability, that Macedonia survived, and the fact that it survived and went on to thrive to a level that no one could have expected. Well, actually, there was some Athenians who kind of could see that if the people of Macedonia ever formed into a singular state with a singular direct goal, they would be a significant force to reckon with. And I can't remember exactly who that was. I think it was it I can't remember. Democritus might have been. Macedonia went on to essentially conquer all of Greece. And of course, Alexander basically was a very, very poor state, and Philip just went sicko mode. And then Alexander, I think, I question, would Philip have gone as far as Alexander? I don't think he would. I think Philip probably would have pushed in, freed the Greek areas of Persian influence along the coast, perhaps pushed down into Africa, into Egypt, and maybe pushed a bit deeper into kind of mainland Persia. But I question, I can't see Philip just going on a rampage. I don't think he was like that as Alexander. He probably would have consolidated. He would have stopped and consolidated, perhaps giving time for the Persians to build up a more reliable force. But Alexander was driven beyond the degree of normal human capacity. He wanted everything, and he got it, enjoyed it for about a year, and then died. And then everything went to absolute hell when his successors, who swore to protect his child, eventually ends up murdering him, and of course his half brother. But it's absolutely just it's one of the most interesting periods of history. Let me very quickly take a photo of this, because there's a map kind of zoomed in of the Crocus Field, and then there's more formations. There's more squares and rectangles. And if there's one thing I know people enjoy, it's rectangles. Pushing against each other in a way that looks like they're fighting. I love those like Baz battles and kings and generals and stuff, where I don't even care, because I know sometimes things can be slightly off with those groups. I just like watching the rectangles slowly disintegrate. Let me just open up my drive and download the image I got. That's not the one I wanted. Hang on. Oh, I forgot to save. Oh, damn it. Excuse me a moment. Yeah, that should be fine. Apologies if you have commented. I do not have visual on my chat right now. Or you should be using my second file. But I am not. Or my second screen, I should say. There we go. That's the one I wanted. He wouldn't. Philip would probably lose his mind over his son's achievements, but we gotta give props to this father. He inherited even a bridgehead in Asia Minor for his son. Great man, yeah. I mean, it is insane what he did. Like, he really did lay the groundwork for Philip to go on. I question, would Philip have been able to do what Philip, or would Alexander have been able to do? It's almost weird. It's like, I don't think Alexander, maybe with his mother, with Olympias behind him, she might have been the one that could have politicked and been vicious enough to cement things alongside Parmenio and the other advisors. But I question, would he have been as capable as Philip in starting from a position as he did? If you give Philip where he, and then at the same time, Philip wouldn't have gone as far as Alexander would have, going as far as the Punjab in Asia Minor, or in India, which is in itself insane. Asia Minor's on the opposite side. Asia Minor's like a bit of Thrace and like Turkey. not the Punjab. Very different areas. But let me get up that little image now I have for. Here we are. Whoa, that's a lot. There we are. Perfect. So we'll use this when we get to it. Philip was obviously a genius. Olympias was extremely smart as well. Those genes were combined and we got Alexander, the best genius ever. I would the interesting thing about this book that I'm currently reading, and if you'd like to pick it up yourself, it's called Philip of Alexander, or Philip II of Macedonia, Greater than Alexander, by Richard A. Gabriel. It's a book that basically argues that while and does recognize Alexander for his outstanding, amazing achievements, argues that Philip was just as impressive, and more so, for his overall political and statesmanship, not just the military ability. We just covered how Philip suffered a loss to Onomarchus, the Phocian general, caught in an ambush, a trick played by Onomarchus to lead his men into a disadvantageous position where Philip couldn't use his companion cavalry, and they broke up the Macedonian phalanx with artillery fire from their torsion catapults and stone flingers, and almost could have been the end of the Macedonian incursion into Greek politics. But Philip, apparently, in this Battle of the Crocus Field, may be about to turn the tide against Onomarchus. Every effort was made to maintain night and sound discipline. As the sun came up over the Gulf of Pagasei, one can only imagine the panic in the Phocian camp when they discovered Philip's army to their front, blocking the route north and ready for a fight. It would have required 2 or 3 hours for Onomarchus to assemble his army for battle. Meanwhile, the Athenian fleet bobbed helplessly ashore, unable to land its fleets to support the Phocians. By mid-morning, both sides were ready to do battle, so we can see the Athenian fleet over here. This region here is too rocky from what we've been told. Really, the only area that's capable of disembarking is probably here, but by then, it's going to take too long. Olympus found himself facing the best infantry in Greece on an open plain with no terrain that could be used to his advantage. Without hills upon which he could anchor his flanks, Onomarchus had no way to protect the flanks of his infantry. Philip's advantage in the cavalry spelled disaster. An honourable surrender, too, was out of the question. The Amphiphitonic Council's declaration of a sacred war against the Phocians permitted the summary execution of the defilers of the Delphic temple. Onomarchus must certainly have known that he was doomed. Still, he had no choice but to fight. He tried his best to make the best of a bad situation. He placed the right flank of his infantry line on the steep, rocky shore that dropped off sharply into the sea. From there his infantry line ran inland for 2 kilometers, its left flank completely unprotected by any obstacles or favorable terrain. He stationed his 500 cavalry on the left to protect the infantry's flank, but it was little more than a symbolic gesture in the face of Philip's huge cavalry force of about 3,000. Every advantage fell to Philip. His infantry formed up facing the Phocian hoplites. Though equal in number, the Phocian mercenaries were no match for the Macedonians in killing power. Arranged in wedge formations, Philip's infantry could easily punch through the Phocian infantry line, a tactic Philip often used when he wished to create a gap into which his cavalry could rush and attack the enemy's rear. In this case, however, Philip's infantry was arranged in its standard rectangular formation. Its task was not to penetrate the Phocian line, but to fix it in place, so that the cavalry could attack it from the flank and rear. The Macedonian infantry was the anvil against which the Macedonian cavalry would hammer the Phocians to death. Far to Philip's right, the Macedonian and Thessalian cavalry formed up in squadrons opposite the Phocian cavalry. 500 Phocian cavalry were no match for Philip's 3,000, and no matter how bravely the Phocians fought, their defeat was certain. Philip's advanced cavalry squadrons attacked the Phocian cavalry head-on, while other squadrons struck their flank. There was no need to drive the Phocian cavalry from the field before the Macedonian cavalry attacked the Phocian infantry. While a few squadrons attacked the Phocian cavalry, the remainder of his cavalry swept around the end of the line and fell on the rear and left flank of Automarchus's infantry. Trapped between the Macedonian pikemen in their front and the Macharia-wielding cavalry at their back, the Phocian infantrymen were stabbed and hacked to pieces. The battle would not have lasted long, perhaps only an hour or so. In the end, 6,000 Phocian soldiers were killed, and another 3,000 taken prisoner. While these casualty rates are high, they are not as great as we would have expected had Philip ordered his cavalry to undertake its usual lethal pursuit. There was, of course, nowhere to escape the Macedonian hammer, and most of the dead and prisoners were likely taken in a small area. Some of the Phocians fled to sea, where they drowned while trying to swim to the Athenian triremes floating offshore. Automarchus's fate is unclear. Pausanias says that he was slain by his own men as punishment for having failed them so miserably, but this is an unlikely fate for a general competent enough to have defeated Philip the previous year. The historian Eusebius says Automarchus was drowned while trying to swim to one of the Athenian ships. Diodorus tells us only that, quote, Philip hanged or crucified Automarchus, but does not tell us if he was killed this way or if only his corpse was crucified to symbolize Philip's new role as the punisher of sacrilege and the avenger of the gods. In all likelihood, Automarchus perished in the battle, and then his corpse was crucified. On Philip's orders, the 3,000 prisoners were put to death by drowning, the traditional punishment for sacrilege. Their weapons were collected and later smashed and thrown over the Phaedriadae cliffs at Delphi, an act that symbolized that they had been polluted by sacrilege. Quite the victory and show, and for having suffered a defeat in which Clepsobeus, like the Eastern Thracian king, and the Olympians, the Chalcidian League, were looking at Philip as if maybe he had begun to fall. This massive rise had finally met its match in Automarchus. Philip has most certainly demonstrated that he is not going anywhere. And if anything, more is to come. The submission of Thessaly. I don't remember. Did Philip fight any Celts? I don't think he would have. That would have been more in... Well, would they have extended? Because he fought various tribes in the north of around the Balkans, but I don't know if they would have been Germanics or if they came later. I wouldn't know the ethnicities and the general cultures of the groups he fought. I have a map here that has kind of the various tribes that he fought. So we have the Thracians, the Tribali, the Paeonians, Illyrians, the Scythians. Scythians? Do you guys know that the Scythians, the Irish people, are descended from the Scythian queen? Do you guys know that? Wait, no, is it a Scythian? I think it's a Scythian queen who married, and I can't remember exactly. Mostly Thracians, I think, but there were some Celtic tribes between the Thracians. Very possible. I wouldn't be surprised because I know the Celtic tribes were huge. Were like their overall expansion was all over Northern Europe essentially. And then then kind of some guy called Kaiser or Caesar kind of came along and had a little too much fun in Gaul. But there's a tale known as the Invasions of Ireland that talks about how the Irish, the Milesians, are descendant of an Egyptian. I think it's an Egyptian princess who married a Scythian king. Here's a fun fact. I can't remember exactly which gene it is, or which descendant gene it is. But there's one that's particularly around the Scythian or kind of steppe area. And Irish have a lot of it in comparison to all their neighbors. So it's kind of like this weird thing where it's like the Book of Invasions, the Lower Gala era, Éireann, is typically seen as, well, look, it's just a narrative history to give the Irish some place within Christianity. Who knows? Maybe blood memory is a bit stronger than we give it credit for. Probably not, but it's certainly fun to believe it. The great victory on the Thessalian plain destroyed the Phocian army and isolated Pherae and the other Thessalian cities that had supported the Phocians. With Pagasei firmly in Macedonian hands, Athenian naval forces were unable to use the port to come to Pherae's aid. Pherae was already under siege and at Philip's mercy. He could have marched south, linked up with his Theban allies, and destroyed Phocis before its new leader, Phalos, had time to hire more mercenaries and rebuild the Phocian army. Instead, Philip turned around and marched against Pherae. Glory. Do you speak Gaelic by any chance? I learned a little bit of it. I'm not very good at it, unfortunately. If I must be honest, it's something that I will have to improve on. I'm very busy in life, so I don't really have time to go learning a language, but I speak, Diagwit, Gareb Mahaguts, some very basic sentences. If I would come back fairly quickly if I did a little bit more study, but and that's specifically Irish. Gaelic can also refer to Scots. Amazing language. It's definitely having failed to learn it in school. Certainly something I wish I was better at. I will become fluent at some time, or at least competent someday when I'm not very busy. The Phaeacian tyrants, like Cophron and Pethalos, Jason's surviving sons, had little choice but to surrender. Philip permitted the tyrants, the merchants, and the 2,000 mercenaries to leave the city under a truce. The brothers and the mercenaries left Pherae and marched south, and joined Phalos, who had already set about rebuilding the Phocian army. Why didn't Philip march immediately against Phalos? The answer seems to be that Philip was prepared to take the long view of events. First, Philip's strategic center of gravity was the security of Macedonia, which meant that his concerns with the regions surrounding the country, Illyria, Thrace, Epirus, and Thessaly, were of the greatest importance to him. Compared with Thessaly in its cavalry, abundant agriculture, large population, and lucrative port, the small, poverty-ridden states of Greece had little to offer Philip. From a strategic perspective, Thessaly was by far the greater prize. Second, Philip had no interest in destroying Phocis and bringing an end to the sacred war. From Philip's vantage point, the war had set the Greek states at each other's throats. Again, you're not from North Ireland, are you? No, I am from the Republic. I won't state where, though. But I've given enough information that people should know that I'm not from Northern Ireland. And we don't have anything against England or the UK, but I think most Europeans have a small soft spot for Ireland. It seems many people do. It's this weird aspect of being Irish that I find I am, whenever I go anywhere, I am welcomed with open arms in a funny way. I imagine that probably wouldn't hold in probably a lot of Asian countries because they just know we're just another group of Europeans. Some probably don't even barely recognize us. I think for a while that would have been the case in Japan. Many people, it's not that they didn't know who Irish people were. It was just like, oh, they're just, they're like, oh, we hear of Scotland, we hear of Finnish people, of Swedish people. They're just, well, Finnish are like some are more Asiatic because of steppe influence. But I think it would have been like, oh, they're just Europeans. But I think after the Rugby World Cup and the large amount of Irish fans, who I hope left a good impression with the Japanese. Sometimes I worry if a large amounts of Irish fans are, I don't know, this England, if you were from, oh, no, it's fine, no worries at all. I hold no grudges against the people of England or Northern Ireland, although I do see it as rightful land. And I'll leave it at that, because that is a touchy subject. And already saying that is probably too much. Rightful Irish land, I should say. But I would be worried how Irish lacks Irish culture and celebrations would go alongside like kind of Japanese style stuff. And obviously I'm not too familiar with Japanese culture other than all that culture I learned about through anime and my mangas. I just I wonder how that gelled during the Rugby World Cup. But I think true that more Japanese people became aware of kind of Ireland because of rugby, which is a great way for things to go. And great way for sport to kind of bring people together. But thank you very much, Daneos, for joining us. Daneos. It sounds almost kind of Greek. I could see it being like the name of a general. Daneos. I'm from Greece. Ah, there you go. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. You guys have an incredible history. I have quite a few books on it, and and a lot on philosophy as well. So I'd like to thank you guys for coming up with a lot of interest and stuff. Hello, Foxy Shroom Rich. Me coming in late, but now wondering if you speak Scottish Gaelic. I do not. Although I wouldn't be surprised if there is, because I mean Scottish Gaelic essentially developed from Old Irish, particularly because the reason that Scotland is not Irish but Celtic in the way that it is, and is not Pictish, which were the people who were originally there, is because the Dalriata, an Irish tribe in north of Ireland, invaded the region and took over. Are they mutually intelligible? I'm not too familiar with Scottish Gaelic. I wouldn't be surprised if they are, in the sense that like there'd be a lot of similarities, but I don't know if it's like with I think that's the case with Italian and Spanish, where they can kind of understand things at times. I might be completely wrong on that. I do speak a little bit of Irish, Foxy, but I'm not great. French and Spanish I find too. I have basic things, and I could say very basic sentences. I have no idea what viewers are, um, but something like Isbralum Mocharda is I love my friends, and I consider you guys friends. No, I'm lying. I don't consider viewers friends. I hate my viewers. Hate. We hate them. It's fool them. It's fool them. Viewers. No, 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 no. Oh no, don't cry. Don't cry, Foxy. Don't cry. I don't know why you're crying like a baby. You should cry, but not cry. That just makes me sad. Uwu speak is like weirdly cute. I love Gura or not Gura, Senzoa is so good at like baby speak when she does her songs, like the Halloween one for example. Spooky ookies, bumpukin, you orange woundo boy. it just it just makes me happy. It just sends serotonin directly into my like brain. But very very cool, Danaos. So I don't know if I will be covering more Greek history. I probably will because I have a very good book on the successors. But I hope you enjoy if you do decide to stick around. So thank you very much for joining today. And Fox, I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Thank you for dropping in. I think that we're coming to the end of this chapter. Yes, we are actually. So I might leave it there, which is actually perfect for me in terms of timing. Where were we? Oh yeah, here we are. From Philip's vantage point, the war had set the Greek states at each other's throats. The longer it went on, the more resources it consumed and the more trouble it caused. Over the long run, the war would weaken all the major Greek states, as well as keep Athens occupied, and reduce its ability to oppose Philip in Thrace. Third, whatever Philip's long-term objectives, he judged that it was not time for him to become deeply involved in the politics and conflicts of the Greek states. That day would come, of course, but for now Philip remained aloof, content to allow the Greeks to hack at one another. Diodorus tells us that after Philip suppressed the tyranny at Pherae and restored freedom to the city, he arranged all the other affairs of Thessaly. These affairs were some of Philip's most important political achievements. As he had done in the past, Philip set out to gain the goodwill of the Thessalian people and rulers. He did not carry out reprisals against the population of Pherae. Instead, he was content to attribute their resistance to the fear of their tyrannical leaders. Philip offered further proof of his regard for the Thessalian people by marrying a Thessalian girl named Niceopolis, the niece of Jason of Pherae. Later, when she bore him a son, Philip named the child Thessalonice. Victory in Thessaly. That's kind of bold. That's cheeky. That's a cheeky name. Philip's lenient treatment of Pherae concealed the more important concessions he obtained from the city. Pherae formally transferred the port of Pagasae to Philip's control along with the subject territory of Magnesia. Let me pull up an image of this one. Here we are. Magnesia, so whoa. They actually gained quite a significant portion. The port of Pagasae, which is kind of one of the only landing areas for kind of this region. And all of Magnesia, that's a significant portion. Effectively, close to connecting. And he's already allied with Larissa and this region. So, his influence is now significantly extended. Pagasae was Thessaly's only major port, and its substantial revenues now fell to Philip. There is no evidence that Philip moved Macedonian naval ships to Pagasae, which had served as a base for Pheraean ships under Alexander of Pherae, but Philip's control of the port denied its use to Athens as a future base. Philip now called into account the numerous Thessalian cities that had gone over to Pherae and its Phocian protectors. Philip punished those who had renounced their loyalty to the Thessalian League following Philip's defeat in 353 BC. Some of their leading citizens were banished from this country forever, and some of their populations sold into slavery. Gomphai's population was sold off in this manner, its lands resettled by Macedonians, and a town renamed Philippopolis. It is interesting that Philip did not formally carry out these reprisals as the king of Macedonia, but in the name of the Thessalian League, with Philip acting as its legal chief. Philip's actions on the League's behalf reconstituted the Thessalian League as the main institutional mechanism for national unity. Oh no, not at all, Danaos. I enjoy having people stop in and talk. It helps me kind of take a little bit of a break from reading too, which can upset my throat at times. To the Thessalian aristocrats, Philip of Macedon was no longer a foreign king called upon to save Thessaly from civil war. He was now regarded as a savior who suppressed the Pheraean tyranny and rescued the League, something the League alone had been unable to do. Philip was seen as the only person capable of guaranteeing the future unity of the country. In an event that was completely without precedence in Greece, a foreign king was chosen by free election and without compulsion or intimidation to be archon, or ruler of a league of Greek cities. What made Philip's election even more astounding is that the office was conferred for life. Not only was it Philip's greatest diplomatic victory, it also changed the history of Greece. Welcome in, Haru, welcome in. Thank you very much for joining us. Drown check, I will certainly. I've been reading for quite a while, but my voice isn't that bad, actually. Very much needed, thank you. Welcome in. I hope you enjoyed your $69 dues from taking a photo of my feet, my art feet, and selling them. I can't believe you would do that, Haru. Dananos, this was art. Don't worry, it's not my actual feet. I'm not a weirdo. Haru is though. Haru is a weirdo who'll sell other people's feet pics. I don't know if that's worse than selling your own feet pics. She didn't actually sell anything, don't worry. You cut my face. Payback, it's literally payback. You have to get that. You have to get that in your bag somehow. Let me finish this chapter. As Archon, Philip was commander-in-chief of the military forces of a united Thessaly. In control of the taxes and revenue from the country's harbour and markets to defray the costs of running the League. He had some measure of supervision over the country's constitution, which he used later to reorganize its regional governments. Philip also exploited his position to station Macedonian garrisons in key Thessalonian cities, and settled Macedonians on the land of those cities who had supported Foray. Hello, Clever. Not feeling too good right now. Oh, that's unfortunate to hear, Clever. I hope, if it's sickness or whatever, or if it's just a melancholy, I hope things improve soon. I'll finish this chapter now. I'll just read until I finish. Thessaly had been an original member of the Amphictyonic Council, where it held a disproportionate number of seats. These seats now fell under Philip's control. He could draw upon Thessaly's population and resources, which were at least equal of Macedonia's at the time, for his future wars. Philip could now put 30,000 infantry and 3,000 cavalry in the field, a military force of unparalleled power in Greece. For all purposes, Philip's election as Archon made Thessaly a part of the Macedonian kingdom. It would remain so for the next 150 years. Arranging his affairs in Thessaly took some time. It was not until midsummer that Philip marched south again towards the pass at Thermopylae, as Diodorus tells us, with the aim of making war on the Phocians. When Philip arrived at Thermopylae, he found a large force defending the pass. Phaeolus had reconstituted the Phocian army, with new mercenaries, and the troops from Pherae and a large contingent of Athenian troops had joined him. Athens had sent 5,000 troops, transported by 50 triremes at a cost of 200 talents. a clear indication with the seriousness with which Athens regarded Philip's advance towards Thermopylae. Athens feared that the armies of Macedonia, Thessaly, and Boeotia would invade Attica and attack Athens itself. Sparta, fearing an invasion of the Peloponnese, even sent troops too. According to Diodorus, when Philip saw the size of the allied army blocking his way, he turned back to Macedonia without attempting to force the pass. At that time, Thermopylae was a far more formidable obstacle to invasion than it appears in the present day. Since ancient times, silting from the Spercheius River has created a wide, flat area through which the troops might more easily pass. In Philip's day, however, there was only room at its two narrowest points, between the almost sheer mountainside and the sea, for a single cart to pass at one time. A wall with a gate had also been constructed across the pass to further control passage. Under these circumstances, Thermopylae could not be forced. Troops could only bypass it over the formidable mountain terrain on either side, along routes that the Phocians easily defended. No one's going to take them like they did the Spartans. Philip's decision to retire was a wise one. Sore throats in the top, though. Yeah, tummy aches are... Void! Welcome in, Void. I said I was going to finish, so I'm going to finish the chapter. Hang on. But why march on Thermopylae at all? Philip surely had no intention of invading Greece at that stage. Things were still too uncertain in Thessaly and needed his full attention. At the same time, events in nearby Olynthos and Thrace were running serious and demanded his reconsideration. Nor had Philip sufficient time to prepare his army logistically for a long campaign, and he still had to integrate the Thessalian cavalry into his army and train it in Macedonian tactics. As noted earlier, Philip had no interest in bringing the sacred war to an end. Left to their own devices, the Greek states, including his Boeotian allies and Locrian allies, would continue to weaken themselves in a long war. All to the benefit of Macedonia's long-range interests. An invasion of Greece at this time made no strategic sense. Perhaps Philip marched south to satisfy his Thessalian allies, whose long-standing animosity for Phocas was well known, and who may have wanted to use their new strength to punish their long-time enemies. In this case, as newly elected Archon, Philip could hardly refuse. If Thermopylae's defences were found to be too strong, as might have reasonably been expected in light of the Phocians' continuing public efforts to hire more mercenaries, then Philip had a convenient excuse not to try and force the pass. Thessalian vengeance would have to wait another day. Under these circumstances, the expedition would become more of a reconnaissance in force, intended to discern what political reaction it might provoke, more than an attempted invasion. The strong Athenian and allied response gave Philip his answer. As the end of chapter 5, we move on next to a chapter called The Road to Empire, which we will look at next time. Welcome in, Void. For those of you who don't know, Void is a fantastic VTuber. If you guys are looking for himbos, he is right up your alley. He's also a very good voice actor. I often enjoy time to Soul Boss. Oh, that's a thing I can do. Yeah, I can. I'm not very smart, Harold, but thank you for reminding me. I can do that. That should work. Why doesn't it work? Please. That should work. Void. I don't understand why it's not working. That's so frustrating. I apologize, Void. You know, I'm just gonna tell you guys, go... I can just do that. I can just click on the thing. Why? I am so bad at this stuff. Try. Oh,
That might be it. We did it. We did it. Void is he's so smart. He's so much smarter than me, and I called him a himbo. I'm so dumb. I will keep that in mind. Thank you, Void. Um, but Void, he also does some very nice ASMR from time to time. Usually he's shirtless, so if you like that kind of stuff, yeah, right up your alley. He has introduced the word "ayo" into my vocabulary as well. I I'm not too sure if I'm happy about that because sometimes I'll be just like doing things and I'll see something, I'll be like "ayo," I'll be like, "God damn it, Void! Thanks for the info. Definitely recommend." But how are you, Void? Are you doing well? I apologize. You came into my stream. It's just nice to have you here. Um, I'm sort of jumping on you now, but you kind of arrived right when I was finishing the book, so I need something to talk about, and I will talk about you. Adding dumb words to others' vocabs. I hope no one calls me out. No one calls me out. No Irish people are like, "Oi, where did you learn that word? Why are you talking like an American?" Because we would. We absolutely would. You're just resting. Ah, that's nice to hear. I'm probably going to be going to sleep fairly soon. Just blame me. Yeah, I'll pull out an image of Void and just be like, it's this guy's fault. And everyone in work will wonder what the fuck I'm talking about. Why an animated man made me speak like that. America, America, fuck yeah. Come to see the motherfucking day now. America. Can I just say that, Hulk Hogan's I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life. Oh, I love it. So, it's just so good. Old school WWE, well, WWF at that time, I'm pretty sure. Just, there's certain things that are just so good about it. Like, you couldn't have found a better song for him. It's like that song was made for him. What is a what is a kilometer? It's communism is what it is. We don't have any communism in this stream. You hear me? No communism. What am I talking about? I need to go to sleep. I've been awake too long, and my brain is going silly. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. There's an ASMRist that I really enjoy listening to recently, and but all like her stuff is literally just all pre-recorded, and I don't think that I'm not gonna rate into that, even though I do enjoy their streams itself. Ooh. Wait, hang on. Is he doing what brain? Oi, oi, Haru, oi. Do you want your pay docked again? Wait, no, I shouldn't do that. You're gonna like steal my socks this time or something, rather than just take a photo. Weirdo, rummaging through my. Well, you're my maid. You're meant to be going through my like clothing. Yeah, you'll sell my. I'll see randomly. I'll see randomly on eBay Rua's socks. Washed with a question mark, or unwashed with a question mark. It's like, are they? Are they? Who knows? Okay, there's someone I was going to raid into. His name is Extra Kudo. I discovered him recently, but I think he might be doing like kind of a unique ASMR thing. Because it says special yandere. So I don't know if he's going a little bit goofy.
Reku. Yeah, Rekudo. Reku is he's really good. I only watched him last night, but his German accent is really lovely for ASMR. You know what? You know what? Yeah, I think we will. I think we will raid into him. He's a cool guy. So what is it? X Rekudo. Rekudo. He's also streaming some ASMR, so it kind of works. I love him. He's really good. Because I know he uses the 3DO as well. I'm going to message him and ask him, hey, help me, help me make good sound. Well, the sounds are very nice. He's, he plays a little bit into, I wouldn't say BFE, but it's you're a lurker in the streams. I'm not surprised, Haru. It's really nice. I'm gonna be lurking, or just at least saying hello for a while, just DMing. Yeah, just friendly DMing. Help me, help. I need help. I need to get better at ASMR. Teach me. Become my like sensei in ASMR. And someday I will surpass you. I don't know if I would. He's really good. But as I said, his stuff is definitely more geared towards, there's a lot of complimenting and kissing, It's not exactly my style, but his just general accent and just normal sounds are so good that I'm like, you know what, I'll put up with it. Become my I'm not gonna ask that. I'm not asking become my master. I'm not gonna DM someone and be like, please be my ASMR master. That is the worst idea I've ever heard, Haru. That is how I get cancelled. That is how I get exposed and people get angry with me. Because they're like, wow, look at this guy coming in here and trying to push his weird master slave fetish on like a good old Rakuda. Ru is a weird guy. Ban Ru. No, don't ban me. What are you gonna ban me from my own stream? Oh wow, I have his stream up right now and he is whispering into my ear. That is fucking with me. Okay. Okay, I muted the stream because that was messing with my ears. I'm gonna have to rewatch that and see how I reacted, because I went a bit fuzzy. But apologies. But yeah, we're gonna head into Rakudo. If you can, Rua raid. Do something like this. Do something like this. Or just say Rua raid. That would be enough as well. But I would certainly like to thank all of you for joining me today. We made a nice chunk into that book. I think we're actually past the halfway point. I know there's a lot in it, but I think now that we're on a story, it's going a little bit quicker. The other one was kind of analysis, but I had a lot of fun today. It was nice discussions. We had some new people come in. Definitely nice to see. I hope to see you guys again soon. Gureth Mila Margaret and Slong the Foil.